the people that are your friends and family, that is called a friends and family round. And this is where, that is always your first investors. And I'm going to tell you why. They know you better than anybody else, and they trust you or they don't.
Right.
And if they trust you and they see that you're taking action and you're going to be successful, of course they're going to help you. That's the whole thing. We help people with ideas get them to revenue. All right, here we go. This is podcast number 35. It's been forever since you and I have done one together.
Yeah, you're right.
It's been a bit of a, we've been all over the map in the last 3-4 months, huh?
Literally, right?
You literally, both of us. Texas, Chicago, Denver. Were you in Connecticut a few times? You're living in Connecticut.
I'm now living in Connecticut, yeah.
All right.
To have another office opened up, hopefully.
Yeah, so welcome everybody. We always appreciate the fact that you guys hopefully learn more from us and that you can take away, the things that we have. I always say this lately, what we talk about here is no longer opinion. This is all experience. And that's what we're trying to share with you guys. And today's experience, which is podcast number 35, is we're going to talk about risk reward. Because I think that is, we just talked to a young lady earlier today who took the risk, right? She had seen a need and she nailed it, right? All on her own. She's got to that point where she couldn't scale. But, I think so many people, when they have ideas, they're afraid of taking action. Maybe it's because of risk. Obviously, there's some financial conversations that have to happen. But really, I think the very first place you have to start is answering the question, why aren't you the person that does this? What is stopping you today from saying, I see a need for a product that isn't on Amazon or isn't on Google or that I can't find, and taking it and becoming your own product on those spaces? There's nothing that stops you.
Right. So you're using the word risk reward for, you got to put yourself out there, which is risk, to, come back with a reward.
Right.
There's another meaning for risk reward, and we'll talk about that as well. And that is more about there has to be some risk from the entrepreneur. We take too many calls with people that basically have a great idea and they literally do not want to put up any of their own money. And in some cases, look, there are people that just don't have any money
totally
at all.
Get that. That's not.
In that particular case, then I hate to say it, but you're just blank out of luck. I mean, if you don't have any money, you can't start a business. It's that simple. But
I'm going to tell you, those are the ones that sometimes are the most creative.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you don't have money, guess what? You go and find. There's so many ways, and I think that's really what I want to get this podcast is actually talking about the ways that if you don't have it. I'm actually more frustrated with the other side, where there's this analogy out there that if you're going to start a business, don't do it with your own money.
Right.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
And who said that? That's what I want to know, because I have started several businesses. You started businesses.
Yeah. Too many of those, TikTok ads or, back in the day, just a television ad saying you can buy real estate with no money down.
Right.
I mean, look, if it's too good to be true, 99.9% of the time, it's not true. You do have to put up risk. And again, we always refer back to Shark Tank because it's our biggest educational
platform
out there that, they always ask, the number one question is, what are your sales? Not that far down the line, they're going to ask, well, what do you have invested in this? And, if someone says, I don't have anything invested, you've said this before and we'll reiterate it today. If you don't have any money invested in your own product, then you don't really believe in your own product. And who else is going to believe in your product? No one. If you don't believe in it, then as the entrepreneur, the inventor, you're going to have a hard time getting an investor to participate. So unfortunately, there is, again, I try to say it as nicely as possible.
Yeah.
I do get confused at someone calling us, and especially with someone who has a really good, strong, what we consider a profitable idea, and they literally are asking us to help them find an investor, and that's really, not what we're about.
No.
we have a bunch of investors in our portfolio, but they all,
They're
all
here for the scale of your business.
they all speak the same thing.
Not for the start of your business.
Yeah.
And this is exactly the conversation I want to have and share. And I think there's three levels to the risk reward conversation. And I'm going to say this just to add to what you just said. The people that are your friends and family, that is called a friends and family round. And this is where that is always your first investors. And I'm going to tell you why. They know you better than anybody else, and they trust you or they don't.
Right.
And if they trust you and they see that you're taking action and you're going to be successful, of course they're going to help you. That's the whole thing. The reason why you don't want to ever ask that, or you want to make sure you're confident at that point where you're borrowing money from friends and family that you can pay it back, and that there is going to be a reward. But to me, prior to that, the risk reward starts with someone's personal confidence in regards to, is this a good idea? How do I know it's going to be successful? I'm going to tell you to switch your acumen. If you find that you've got a good idea, do your research. Take a look. What's out there? How do who else is selling it? What else is out there that's comparable? Because at some point, if you're going to start a business, the success isn't in the product. The success is in your confidence to make it successful. And that's the first step. You have to say, I'm going to do this. That's your first step. And if you're going to do this, then the next step is, who do I need on this team to help me get this done? And then the third step is, who do I need help to get this financed and off the ground?
Right.
Right? And to me, those are the three things that, as an entrepreneur, if that is the transition from a entrepreneur to an entrepreneur. And if you don't take those first three steps, then you really are wasting everybody's time. You're wasting your own time. Put your idea on the shelf, because getting your product made and into the market is the only way someone makes money.
Right. Exactly. And again, it's frustrating to hear some of the calls that we have with fantastic product ideas, and again, making the assumption that just because someone has an idea or a patented idea, that it's worth something. And it's just not. I mean, I don't mean to sound
and
mean or sound arrogant. I'm simply telling you that it's already hard enough to find an angel investor to invest in consumer products, but to have somebody invest in a consumer product where the inventor, the entrepreneur, hasn't put up any money at all, I would never invest in a client in that situation at all. And again, I understand the circumstances. There are a lot of people, most of the people in this world,
risking your financial
live
health,
paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So it's a needle in a haystack for us to find those great ideas with a entrepreneur that's willing to take the journey and become successful. So again, it is a needle in a haystack, but you're right. Friends and family are first. They believe in you or don't believe in you the most, and we can talk to them and have a very simple conversation that we are held accountable for the work that we do, and we have
we're just a cog in that wheel that can answer the manufacturing and marketing questions as to why this is a good idea and why we would take it on.
Right.
The financing. The reason why there's always a friends and family around is because before an investor trusts that they're going to give you money, because they're not friends and family,
right.
If you've convinced your friends and family to help you start a business, that is actually a requirement for another investor to then come in and say, okay, there's trust here, your friends and family
right.
are involved.
Just for that reason, by the way.
Just for that reason.
That they know you better than anybody,
yep.
And if they don't trust you, then the investor's probably not going to. If they do and they invest in you, that means that they're a pretty good judge of your ability to stick to your word, and that's pretty important to any investor.
So I will take the South Park method here and say, like, everything that we say, there's a story at the end that makes this all make sense. So the other reason why you want your friends and family is because that's going to be your hardest first dollar to collect. Because two things. If you don't have all your ducks in a row, your friends and family will not invest in you. But when you come to them with all the answers that, again, you can, like Dan said, you can watch Shark Tank and get those questions. What are your sales? Okay, so maybe you don't have a product yet, but you can look at other products that are selling and kind of get an idea of what you could be selling. If you had 5,000 units, what would those sell at? That would be your profitability. But How are you going to manufacture? What's it going to cost to manufacture? These are all the questions that you need to start preparing answers for to be able to get someone to invest.
Yeah, anybody, even your friends and family.
And that's what most people don't do. Everyone with an idea, and this is the rant, and the part that's really frustrating is imagine watching these ideas that are sitting at this bus stop waiting for someone to pick them up. I consider us bus drivers. We take people on this tour to get their product to market.
Yep.
And when we keep coming back around and I keep calling these people and they still haven't made an ounce of progress, that is what's frustrating.
Right.
It is so hard to have conversations with people that have amazing ideas and that go nowhere with them. You are almost better off just giving them to somebody that can get it to market.
Right.
Like that's the shame that I see. There's okay, so I'll ask you, in 8 years that we've done this, would you expect, and I think everyone that talks to us, how many crazy ideas have we really heard?
Maybe a dozen.
And that's out of like 10,000 people
Right.
we've probably talked to.
Yeah.
So that's the numbers I'm sharing with you people. If you have an idea out there, your chances that it's a good one, and I'll tell you why it's probably a good one, because you thought it was available on Amazon and it's not there.
Right.
You thought that you could go on Google and find it and it's not there. And in 3-4 weeks of you searching, it's still not showing up in any of your feeds from any of the retargeting ads that are out there.
Yes.
That means you have an idea.
Right.
That's it. Don't pass go. Don't collect 200. Call. Get your idea to now investigate. Why is it not out there? The why. Well, maybe it's really hard and there's a reason why you shouldn't do it. But most of the time, there's a reason. If there's a consumer that will buy it, there's a reason to make it.
Right.
That's
And
it.
not all ideas have to be original inventions, because quite frankly, there probably isn't any original inventions left. But, even if you see your product on Amazon and it's got bad reviews, but it's selling like crazy, that actually is, even to me, more exciting, because now we just have to make that product a little bit better, listen to the bad reviews, change those, and now you've got a product that is in high demand because it's already selling, because it's the only one out there, and it's not a great product.
All right, so editing team on the camera here, let's put a little list and check mark. That's how simple this was. What you just explained, go on Amazon, find something that's got high volume search demand and poor quality in delivery.
Right.
Look at those reviews. Take those, check them off, and say, okay, that's the thing. Take one product and make one thing better.
Right.
In a familiar category that's got volume, and that's
So what
that's
you're
it.
saying, Peter, is that you don't even really have to have an invention.
You do not have
or
to have an
idea.
invention.
You don't even have to, for that matter, hire an attorney. You literally just have to do some due diligence. You do have to get and do some research, and that research can be done by just simply checking on Amazon what products do really well but have shitty reviews. And if you find some, which you will, you can make a serious living, if not a great side hustle, on delivering a better quality product.
That's exactly it. And guess what? When you actually own your own product on those platforms, on your own Shopify page and your own, FBA makes a living with 50,000 other people selling the exact same product on those same platforms, so your margins are nickels and dimes.
Right.
One person drops their price, you're not making money.
Right.
One person puts a better product out that no one else has the ability to go and buy,
Yep.
puts you at the top of the leaderboard.
Right.
That's how you build a business on Amazon.
Then the question becomes, what happens if my product only sells for a year and then someone else comes up with a better idea? Well, you now have a year's worth of sales, which means you have a
History, data,
a bunch
you've
of
got
data,
customer information.
So the next product that you introduce, you've got an audience already sitting there waiting for that next product. So
Yeah.
you look at who's killing it these days are these young kids that are very smart. They're in college, going to school, and they're they're doing just what we just said, finding an item that doesn't do so well with ratings on Amazon, but has high sales volume, and they're just taking some money. They're buying several hundred of these at a time, selling out, buying some more, selling out, buying some more. That's just giving them school. That's giving them some money to spend at school.
Well, and that's when we get reached out to with some of those, because now, if that's already happening, you're really missing out on the big opportunity. Like, we just had that conversation today, and if she sells 4,000 units, like, whatever it was
$120,000 profit a year.
right. So why not add a zero to that?
Right.
Because can you sell 40,000 units like that on Amazon all day long?
Well, she's selling 75 with no advertising, so
Right.
I think if you start advertising, you're going to be able to add a zero to that number.
That's where it becomes the
Some people
risk
have a
reward
week.
in scale, right? You have to have the confidence. So this goes back to friends and family round, right? That's the first thing, because who's the first person to tell you that you're crazy? It's going to be your family.
Right.
Dan, what do you know about starting a business?
Right.
We've both been there, right? Like you don't talk to your family for a little bit while you're building a business because they're not your first. They're not the first people that would encourage you or say, "Here's what we're going to do."
Right.
Once they see you start to succeed, what happens?
Yeah. How come you didn't talk to me about
Why
this?
didn't you call me?
Yeah,
Right? Okay. Well, great. That's where you have to get to. You have to get to the point where you're proving yourself, and that you are something that it's the fear of missing out. Everybody, that's really what the investors.
But the other side of that, Pete, is you actually have to go to, do a little bit more work than just tell
Yes.
somebody, I've got this great idea, can I get some money from you? No, you've got to have a plan in place, right? The old saying is that you
You work.
I'm trying to think of the cliche. It's you plan your work and you work your plan.
Yeah.
And that is something that you need to do. And part of that is doing some research. Part of that is ascertaining pricing, knowing what it's going to cost you to market the product.
Well, I'm going to give you the answers that I get from people that I would never that I know are just going to fail. Oh, Dan, I've already done that. Oh, Dan, I've already got the pricing. Oh, I've already got the market scale.
Yeah.
Like, what's the usual when someone says I already know the market? What's the typical thing that they think they're showing? Oh, it's a $40 billion market, and all I need is 1% of that market, and I can be a billionaire. Yeah. You know what? You know how hard it is to get 1% of a market that someone's already got a $40 billion industry?
Yeah.
You have no idea that 1% is going to cost you millions of dollars in advertising.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's not the due diligence. That's that you are not ready. And that's a harsh truth that I think a lot more entrepreneurs need to understand to become entrepreneurs.
Right.
Your due diligence is a realistic, how do I climb this mountain in front of me one step at a time? So it's a crawl, walk, run.
Right.
And that's your plan that you have to work every day. Yeah. And somewhere along the way, maybe someone's going to jump in and say, you know what, I can help you get a little bit faster. I can help you get a little bit further. I can help you get a little bit stronger. And that is how you have to do this. And if you don't take that first step to say, yeah, I'm risking maybe some finger pointing from my family, someone making fun of me, someone saying, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that, you're crazy, why would you take that risk? Yeah. That's the first one that you have to overcome. It's the personal confidence to say, I don't care what anybody says, I'm doing this.
Right. And again, we had a call right before we jumped on this podcast with a young lady that
perfect timing.
New mom. She developed this fantastic product, and organically she's selling.
Actually, she's on Instagram. Go look at it. It's called Lady Alpha, and it is a breast cover feeding fan, like
nursing blanket
nursing
with
blanket,
a fan.
right?
Again,
go and buy one from her. She's a nice woman. Actually, she's sold out. So
yeah, that's why she called us. But again, she's at that point now where she's selling them with no advertising, which means she's on the precipice of something really big, and she may not know that at this point, but we're telling you or her that it's big. But again, she should be looking at now, how do I scale this business? How do I start adding zeros to this and not go slow but go fast? Because selling something organically is not easy. That means there's a need and a want and a demand for it. But again, we're kind of getting away from the risk-reward thing. Getting back to what does it take? Well, again, we just going to give you some great advice. You do need to invest in your own idea. If you don't have any money at all, Peter's right, friends and family. And I would say if your family can't invest because there's no money there, maybe get a couple friends together. If you don't have any friends, then the likelihood, there's a reason that you don't have any friends. So there's other problems there. But at the end of the day, you definitely, people often ask me how I started my businesses, and I'm sure they've said the same thing to Pete. I started my business, and I remember vividly today, I had a $5,000 credit limit on my credit card, and that's how I started my first business, by just using a credit card and buying goods, selling them, paying back my credit card so I could buy more. Once I started
When you start
proving,
doing that with the credit card companies, what do?
they increase your credit line.
And what do the other credit card companies do?
They start sending you applications because your credit score is going up.
Right, and that gives you the opportunity to do what?
Buy more inventory, use more credit cards, and that's how I funded my first business. And what did that cost me? It didn't cost me. I didn't have to go out and give up equity in my company. The downside of it is I had to pay interest. In some cases. So that's okay because, again, I still owned 100% of the company, but I did have to pay an outrageous interest charge. I'm okay with that to start my business or to start any business, and that's really what it takes to. That's the risk part of this.
So help me understand this. So you invested in yourself.
Exactly. I believe that I can pay back the credit card.
That's
debt.
what it takes.
Yep.
You have to have that conviction. So I'm going to actually scratch time out here and go back to those people that are going to say, oh, but I've got bad credit. I can't get credit cards. I have issues. I'm going to call bullshit on that because guess what you can do? You can go start an LLC. You can create like some small credit lines at like Staples or whatever, and then get yourself some credit cards. At some point, an LLC, if you can't personally get yourself financed, you can start an LLC that can get business credit. And that is another way that you can start getting credit cards. The trick is that you've got to play the game the way the credit card companies need you to, which is take a small amount, use it, pay it back. Use it, pay it back, use it, pay it back. And when you start getting that report in 6 months, you can do it. Within 24 months, you actually could have enough credit to start your own business.
Right.
So
but
there's no excuse.
Well, there isn't. Some people say, well, that's a lot of work or it's too much time.
Well, shit, then don't-
unfortunately, if you're going to be a business owner, you got to be used to being patient, and you certainly have to be used to dealing with time, because that's what it takes, either way. But you are right, Peter. It's doing your homework and doing your due diligence. There's a lot of money out there as well, with minority-owned businesses. There's opportunities there.
Right. So I'm going to ask you this. If you weren't willing to take the risk in your own business idea and your own acumen, why would somebody else?
They wouldn't.
So how do people think that they would?
I don't. It's the same reason that I don't understand why people call us and they want to sell their idea to us because they think it's worth something.
So
it's not. It's your idea is worth. You are worth more than your idea. The ability to execute on that idea is worth everything, and that's really what investors will lend money towards. They'll lend it for inventory and marketing dollars, but they can't give you inventory if you don't have any sales, and they will not give you marketing dollars if you don't have the inventory to use with that marketing dollar. So
I'm going to put you on the spot here with a question. How much risk do we help mitigate in our process of helping people that do come and want to bring a product to market?
I mean, not to just sound arrogant and say no risk at all, but it's 75% risk free. I mean, we succeed when you succeed. I mean, that's really how it works. It's that simple. I think there's a stock trading company out there or an investment company that says we succeed when you succeed. Well, we're the same way. We want to make your product for you. We want to design it, make it, and market it. And but most importantly, we want to make the product. And if we're not help you sell the product, and you're not coming back for reorders, we're not making money with you either. So we are putting our faith in you. Doing all the things that you would need to do as an entrepreneur and as a CEO and as a leader to help yourself become successful. We're the team that's right next to you, though, and have done it for almost 400 times now.
And I'm going to define the risk reward, even break that down into milestones. So risk reward, right? What's the first milestone that you need to do before you can reach revenue? It's a big milestone. I have to have product in my hand or on a website or on a shelf.
So even before that, I would say you got to get started.
Okay.
Like you literally have to
100%.
You have to literally make that commitment to get started.
I am going to take the risk to do this.
Right.
That's step number one.
Right.
The next big milestone, anything short of having a product in your hand on a website that you can start to sell with volume, is that you have not arrived.
Right.
And how many times do people say, I've already got 90% figured out, I'm already there. If you do not, let me repeat this, if you do not get to the point where you have a packaged product that can be put onto a website that you can sell and sitting in a fulfillment center somewhere, that overnight sales can be sent out and shipped out, are you at the stage of revenue?
Yes, you are.
That's the only point you're at.
That's the only point you're at.
Right. Pre-sales don't count. In today's world, pre-sales, that got killed by all the fancy schmancy what do you call it, equity, Kickstarter campaigns.
Well, don't use the word Kickstarter, but
Yeah.
all the crowdfunding campaigns.
Yeah, good. No, we're good. That's just the TV going blank. So I thought,
Oh,
we had another
okay.
I thought we had another technical issue, but good. We're still live.
Yes.
But yeah, so anything short of that is entrepreneur zone in my world, right? Like if you want to try and get to this point, want to get to this point, want to get to that point, how important is being on the launch pad with a product versus scalable products?
I mean, they're equally important. First of all, you got to get started. You got to be on the launch pad with a product to get started.
Yep.
But the next step, easily, is you need to be scalable. You need to make sure that once you start to take off, that you don't have any interruptions during takeoff, like, oh, someone wants to place a larger order, and oh, that's going to eat up my inventory, and then I won't have it for the, so you've got to be able to have your ducks in a row. You've got to be able to, push a button and be able to scale up, know that you can get inventory here at a certain amount of time. You got to plan for that.
Right.
The worst possible thing to happen would be to run out of inventory once you start to take off. It's the same thing as fuel. If you run out of fuel before you get to the out of the atmosphere, you're going to crash land.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Same thing is going to happen when you take off with the product sales. If you sell out immediately, people get frustrated, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to start looking for alternatives, and they may or may not find one, but they're certainly going to continue to look for one.
Well, so on that note, right, in our world, our risk reward, how much easier would it be if we didn't think about the scalability of our customers' products and just got them a product delivered quickly?
That would take a tremendous amount of pressure off of us, but we wouldn't be successful as a company.
Thank you. And that's
No.
exactly what I think most people don't understand. They think, oh, just let me get this product to market. I saw this product this week. I'm not going to mention too much of it, but it looked like exactly what it was: a flagpole with a tray on it that was drilled out, perforated, and that swiveled. It looked like a garage product. And she had spent money in China. She spent about $10 a unit, plus it looks like garbage. It's not a product. Although it satisfies it does the job, it looks horrible. Like I would never put that on my house. It's supposed to hang on your front porch so that birds can feed off of it.
Okay.
Really nice woman. She's done a great job on getting there on her own, but now I have to explain to her that you really have to start over and turn this into a product. And I wish, like someone like that, when you understand that, like, you're not just bringing an idea to market, you have to learn how to bring a product to market. It's got to be consumer intuitive. It's got to fit in the box. It has to look nice. It can't just be like something that looks like I made in my garage.
Right.
And that's part of the scalability question. Like if we're not focused on the scale of our customers, are we doing ourselves a service?
A disservice.
A disservice, right? Because if you do get that opportunity, or someone does call you and say, "I want, how much is it?" Can
Well,
we get
isn't
a
it the
container?
very reason that we're all doing this? Is that we all want to have that product take off and be sustainable, continue sales while we're sleeping. That's the whole fun and point of bringing your own product to market, is that it's working for you and it's making you money while you're doing something else. You want to be scalable, and if you're doing the right things and you've got a really good product that serves a particular challenge or problem in the marketplace, you will continue to sell over and over and over again. You've got to have inventory.
So if you want to take my advice, I would rewind this podcast to the point where Dan was just talking about, because that is, again, one of the things I think most entrepreneurs don't understand. The money isn't in your invention. The money is in the scalability of selling your product. And if you're not thinking about scale, and again, I had the same conversation with the young woman today, it really comes down to the crawl, walk, run. The crawl is I make 600 of something, I get it shipped over here, I sell 600, I go back and I get 600. That interruption is dangerous, right?
Completely.
The way you need to look at it is I need to have 600 in production, I need to have 600 in transport, and I need to have 600 in my warehouse, and start scaling to 1,200 to
Right.
a container,
Right.
2 containers, 3 containers, 4 that's where you are. If you have a product idea and if you're not thinking at that level, go back and rewind this, re-educate yourself, go read your books, go do what you need to do. But that's the mentality you have to get.
All right, Pete, my question
Yeah.
as someone that you're pitching this to would be, well, look, I can't do 1,000 in a warehouse, 1,000 on their way here, and 1,000
Yeah, in sales with marketing
yeah,
and the cost of running
I
a
can't
business.
have that scenario where I've got 1,000, right? Because I don't have enough money. Well, when you get to that point, that's when you should be calling
That's where
us for money. That's when you could get an investment, because if you've gotten to a point where you've got 1,000 on the ground, 1,000 on order, and 1,000 on the boat, then yes, you are now selling, because you wouldn't have done that unless you had sales. And that is when the floodgates open for investors, because now they can see sales, they see that you need money.
they see scale.
Yeah, they see scale. You're right. I'm sorry.
Because if they're going to put money into, and you ask the question, who can do that? Nobody can, right? None of the people that have ever called us or hired us can do that.
Right.
But guess what? Who can? That is what an investor is looking for. I think that's where people misunderstand when you like.
That's when they are emailing us on a weekly basis saying, "What do you got coming up?" or "What do you got that's doing well right now?"
Right.
They don't ask, what
do you have in the starting point?
Yeah, what do you have that's going to be the next big thing? No, they want to know what's doing well or what's starting to do well now, because they want to be in on that ground floor,
Right.
because they understand what the sales are. They can start doing the mathematics behind that. Okay, we're paying this, you're selling it for this. This is what the margin is, and I just have to add more dollars for inventory,
importantly,
more
they
dollars
can-
for marketing, and now I know where I'm going to get my money back.
And they
That's
can
what
measure
they're
the
asking
time
for.
component.
Right.
This is how long it takes to get the product here. This is how long it's going to take to sell the inventory.
Right.
So I see where my cash flow is coming back, where we can make revenue on it. And
Right.
that's, again, it's amazing to me that so many people watch Shark Tank, and I watch it and I see how many people don't get deals. Like, it's amazing how many people watch Shark Tank and then think that because they have an idea, they can get on Shark Tank. The people on Shark Tank have already been in this for 3 to 5 years, invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, and guess what? They're taking like $120,000 for 50% of their company. Like, to me, that's crazy. It's crazy after they put that much time.
It's the Shark Tank, cachet. They just want to be on Shark Tank. That's really their dream. It's not really to be a
Dream
business
has
owner.
to be, I want to have a business that's paying me day in, day out while
Right.
I'm sleeping. While I'm sleeping,
Yeah.
my product and inventory is selling. That's the beauty about product sales, is that once you have the right product and the right market and the right platforms, and it's all worked out and you've got scalability,
Yeah.
you never have to work a day in your life.
Right. The real reason to get on Shark Tank, Pete, is
Notoriety, publicity.
how many viewers do they have on Shark Tank?
Oh, it's
20 million? I don't know.
I think just on their reruns, we get 1.3 million viewers on a weekly basis,
Okay.
in just a market.
Right. Do you know how much money it would cost you to advertise to 1.3 million people? We do, because we advertise on
Yeah.
TV all the time. So it is fantastic to get on Shark Tank, because you are going to get essentially free advertising, right? Every time it airs, and that particular,
I love when our products show up on because I know the next day that we aired on Shark Tank, because the amount
we had
of
a huge amount of sales the night before.
the amount of stuff that's coming out of our fulfillment
Right.
center.
So that is the reason that you want to be on Shark Tank, for sure. But as far as putting a deal together with an investor, we have a ton of them that will invest, but they'll only invest, as I said, at a point where they need pretty much all of their risks nullified by understanding what the costs are, what the sales are, how long did it take you to sell, so they can see their return on investment. And by the way, if you were an investor, if I was an investor, we feel the same way. That's exactly when we would invest in a product as
Yeah.
well, which is why we're sitting in the catbird seat, right?
Yep.
We literally can look at these opportunities, and we will fund the ones that we know are doing well. We're making the product. There'd be no reason why we wouldn't fund it as well. But the old saying is, the entrepreneur has to go first.
No one's buying an idea.
Right.
So let's recap this, because I think this is a lot
Yep.
of information for people to say. The risk starts with you believing in yourself.
Yep.
The risk then says, I'm going to put my time and effort into building a solid plan, doing proper research, and don't give me the high-level bullshit. Give me specific details on your crawl, walk, run plan.
Yep.
Take some time. If you need to hire us or talk to us about just putting some designs together, we can do some early stuff that can help you get to investors. because your first round of investors is once you trust yourself, you have to then have your family trust you to help. And it's not family, it's friends and family.
Right.
I'm going to put a number out there. I did it the other day. 93% of our clients are a combination of the idea person and someone who put the money up,
Right.
right? So I'm not, again, this isn't an opinion. This is 100% experience of our business model for the last 8 years. So, or it's a combination of 2 investors or 3 investors or 1, the more investors you have, the more opinions you have. So I try and tell you to limit it to 1. But they're out there, and there's people around you that once they see that you're actually going to make the commitment to do that, they don't look at it as risk, they look at it as fear of missing out.
Right.
So that's where you got to get to. When you are looking for the investors that most people think, it is at the level where you are looking to get an investment for your business. Those are the 3 stages. It's your believe in yourself, invest in yourself, get someone else to help you out on a certain point, and then go build your business to that point where you need some scalability, and that's where we'll step in.
Right. Well, I would say, to recap a little bit even further back,
Yep.
you have to get started.
Got to get started.
Right. That is the most important thing, is to get started. And we have programs that are affordable from, early on. You don't have to have all the money up front. It is a crawl, walk, run scenario. That's how we started our business. We started the same way that we're telling everybody else to run theirs. But there are programs out there that we have that are allow you to crawl, walk, and run. But you've got to get started first. That is the most important part.
Words of wisdom. Well, there you go. There's podcast number 35. I'm going to tell you, this is probably the best podcast if you are trying to become an entrepreneur. Move out from the entrepreneur zone to the entrepreneur zone. Set your goals higher. You guys have great ideas out there. We've talked to several of you. Get confident in getting your product to market. And stop trying to find other people that will buy your idea and take it to market for you. It'll never get there.
There are ways to get, for those of you who don't have money, there are definitely ways for you to start the journey. I think we shared a little bit about with credit cards and with credit lines and starting an LLC. There are definitely ways. But the most important thing, get started. There are too many great ideas that are sitting at that bus station that you talked about earlier, and we are the we're the drivers, and we drive by those, and we still see them sitting there. And at some point in time, they're going to be somebody else bringing those products to market.
That's the gut punch that we talked about earlier. But anyway, like us, follow us, share us, and please put this into someone's viewing capability that is out there. You've got friends that are entrepreneurs. You've got friends that have product ideas. Let them know about us. Share these podcasts. They're for their betterment, and we hope you guys appreciate that.
Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.